Today we're really getting into the stitches, literally. We're looking at garment construction.
Yeah, why does one shirt last forever and another just shreds after a few washes?
Exactly. And spoiler, it's often not the fabric itself, it's the seams holding it together.
Right.
So we want to move past that simple question. What's the most durable stitch? Because, well, our sources make it pretty clear there's no single answer.
No, it's not fixed at all. True durability, it's more like an engineering challenge, tailored for each situation.
That's our mission today. To unpack that formula, we want to show you that a stitch is only really durable if it's the right choice for, well, the fabric itself, where it sits on the garment and, the structure it's holding.
Absolutely, because when you're spending good money on clothes, you shouldn't just feel the fabric, right?
Or look at the brand.
Exactly. You need the tools, the criteria to judge how it's actually made. We want to give you that insider view so you can look at a seam and just know.
Know if they went for longevity or if they, cut corners for speed or cost.
Spot on. We're looking for those signs of real, lasting quality in the construction.
Okay, let's dive in. Where do we start? The sources seem to boil it down to three, core pillars for picking the right durable stitch.
Yeah, three main things to think about.
Pillar one, fabric type. Seems basic, maybe, but apparently this is where a lot of things go wrong.
Oh, definitely. You can't just use the same stitch for everything. Think about sturdy woven canvas versus a super stretchy jersey knit.
Totally different beasts. One's stable, one moves.
Precisely. Woven fabrics, your cotton shirts, your denim, they don't have much give. They're stable.
So they work well with straight, kind of rigid stitches.
Yeah, exactly. That's why the lock stitch is king there. It's neat, it lies flat, it does the job because the fabric isn't really pulling on it.
But then you get into knits, your t-shirts, your leggings, all that performance wear.
Now you're talking elasticity. Dynamic material. If you use that rigid lock stitch on something stretchy, yep, fabric stretches, thread doesn't. Pop. It breaks like a tightrope, like you said.
So for knits, it's non-negotiable. You have to use stitches that can stretch with the fabric.
Right. Options like the overlock or the cover stitch, they're built to handle that movement.
Okay, that makes sense. What's pillar number two?
Pillar two is seam location and stress level. You got to anticipate the weak points.
Where things tear first, you mean?
Yeah. Think about it. Crotches, underarms, waistbands, always the first places to go.
Right, those high wear, high stress areas.
So those spots need stitches that are not just strong, but also inherently flexible, like a flexible armor almost.
Ah, okay. And the sources mention the chain stitch here, right? As a good example.
You do. It's a great one. Unlike the lock stitch, which is just a straight line, the chain stitch makes this, well, chain pattern underneath.
You can see it sometimes on the inside.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that structure, that's what gives it its stretch. It can absorb tension without just failing immediately. So it's perfect for those really demanding spots.
Makes sense for knits, but you mentioned denim too.
Yes, and that's key. Denim is woven, sure, but it often shrinks. It wears unevenly, especially at stress points. A lock stitch might just give up.
But the chain stitch gives it that little bit of wiggle room.
Exactly. That crucial bit of give it needs as it lives its life. Shrinks and stretches.
Got it. Okay, pillar three. This sounds like where things get a bit more technical. Seam structure and thickness.
Yeah, this is really interesting. It's not just the fabric type, but how much fabric you're actually sewing through. How many layers?
Because a thicker seam needs more more structural integrity.
Definitely. And often you have to crank up the thread tension to pull it all together properly.
And this is where that jargon comes in, like
Yeah.
overlock 3T, 4T, 5T.
Exactly. Let's decode that T because it's important. It stands for threads.
Ah.
So going from 3 threads to 4 or 4 to 5 isn't a small step. It's a significant jump in how robust that stitch is.
Because you're adding more threads, like more anchors.
You're adding a whole other needle thread or maybe a looper thread. It fundamentally changes the stitch structure, making it stronger.
Okay, give us an example. How does this play out?
All right, think about, say, a really lightweight knit lining for a skirt. Maybe 170 grams per square meter. Just one layer.
Pretty flimsy stuff.
Right. It needs flexibility more than brute strength. So the manufacturer should probably use an overlock 3T, the 3-thread version. It's thinner, super flexible, doesn't add bulk, gets the job done.
But if you switch to something thicker, like a t-shirt side seam.
Yeah, say a 250-gram knit t-shirt. Now you're joining 2 layers, and that side seam takes a lot of sideways stress.
All the time.
That 3T overlock, it's just not going to cut it. It'll fail. You absolutely need the stronger overlock 4T.
And that extra thread isn't just about raw strength.
No, it changes the geometry. It makes the stitch better at resisting those sideways pulls. Seeing a 4T there instead of a 3T tells you the maker was thinking about how that shirt will actually be worn. It shows a commitment to durability.
Okay, that's super clear. So we've got the main structure down. Fabric type, stress location, and seam thickness. Those are the big three pillars.
Right.
But like building anything, the structure's only as good as the materials and how you actually put it together, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You need good ingredients and good technique.
So let's get into those secondary things that fine-tune the durability. Thread, stitch length, tension, and this interesting one, aesthetics.
Yeah, the details matter. Let's start with the thread itself, kind of the fuel for the whole stitch engine.
If the thread's weak, the whole seam is pointless, no matter how clever the stitch type.
Correct. Good manufacturers will prioritize strong synthetic threads. Think nylon, polyester. They've got fantastic tensile strength. They last.
What about cotton thread? You see that sometimes.
You do, but pure cotton is weaker. It can degrade over time, especially with washing. The sources really stress that if cotton is used, it ought to be a blend.
Like cotton wrapped around a polyester core.
Exactly. That gives it the necessary strength boost. That's a good quality checkpoint for you, the listener, when you're looking at garments. Check the thread if you can.
Good tip. Okay, what about the physics? Stitch length and tension.
Right. Generally, shorter stitches mean a stronger seam.
More locking points per inch?
Kind of, yeah. More stitches holding things together in a given length. But the real tricky part is tension.
Ah, okay. Explain that.
Think of it like tuning a guitar string. Too loose, it just flaps around. That's like puckering in a seam. Looks bad. No strength.
Right.
Too tight. The second you put stress on it, ping, it snaps. That's thread breakage in sewing.
And the sewing machine has to get this balance just right.
Constantly. And it's tough because, like we said, thicker seams need higher tension to pull the thread through all those layers.
But high tension on stretchy fabric.
Instant failure. The moment the wearer stretches that fabric, the tight thread just breaks.
So the machine needs to adjust tension high for a thick hem, then low for a stretchy cuff.
Precisely. And that level of precise dynamic calibration, that costs money. It requires better machinery, more careful setup.
Which is why cheaper garments often have issues. Puckered seams or threads that just pop.
Often, yes.
Oh.
It's a common bottleneck. Getting tension right across different parts of a garment is a hallmark of quality manufacturing.
This balancing act brings us to that surprising factor, aesthetics versus durability. Sometimes the strongest option isn't the prettiest.
Or at least not the most invisible. And invisibility is often what fashion demands.
Okay, explain that trade-off.
The perfect example is the flatlock stitch. Functionally, it's amazing. Super strong, incredibly comfortable because it creates a completely flat seam, no ridge.
Low bulk, smooth finish, ideal for activewear against the skin, prevents chafing.
Exactly. For high-end sportswear, performance gear, it's essential. It ticks all the boxes for strength, flexibility, and comfort.
But the catch?
It's visible, very visible. It has this distinct interloped pattern on both sides of the fabric. It looks, well, functional.
Athletic. Not exactly the look you want on a delicate silk blouse.
Precisely. For that blouse, the consumer expects the seam to basically disappear. They want a tiny hidden lock stitch.
Even if the flat lock would actually be stronger and last longer?
Even then, the manufacturer knows the look demands invisibility. So they deliberately choose a stitch that might be structurally inferior for that specific high-end context, purely for aesthetic reasons.
Wow, so it's fashion versus function right there in the seam.
It really is. A fundamental conflict sometimes between what looks quality and what is quality in terms of engineering and longevity.
Okay, this is super useful. Now let's make this really practical. You mentioned a few key stitches. Can we run through the main ones people will actually see, like a quick toolkit?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's cover the big five you'll encounter most often. Knowing these helps you decode what you're looking at.
Great. Where do we start?
Let's start with the classic, the lock stitch. This is your standard sewing machine stitch. 2 threads, one from the needle, one from the bobbin underneath.
Usually pretty flat.
Yep. It's the workhorse for stable woven fabrics because it's efficient and does the job well when the fabric isn't stretching much. Very common.
Okay. Next up, probably the overlock.
Definitely. Flip your t-shirt inside out, look at the side seams. That's usually an overlock. Super common for knits.
And its special trick is?
It does 2 things at once. It trims the raw fabric edge neatly and wraps that edge over casting to stop it from fraying. Very efficient.
Ah, cleans it up and secures it simultaneously. And we talked about the T numbers.
Right, the thread count matters for elasticity. Overlock 3T is the thinnest, most stretchy, good for light stuff, linings. Go up to overlock 5T, now you've got 3 looper threads plus 2 needle threads.
So that's the most robust, least stretchy.
Exactly. Much stronger, less give. You might find that on something like a heavy knit coat where you want structure, not stretch.
Got it. What about the chain stitch? Again, where do we spot that?
Look for that distinctive chain pattern on the underside of the seam. Remember, its structure gives it that high stretch capacity.
And it's often used with other stitches.
Yeah, frequently used alongside a lock stitch or overlock just to reinforce those high stress points. Think stretched denim jeans, heavy canvas bags, things that need to flex under load. Look for the chain.
Okay, 2 more. Cover stitch.
Right. Check the hem on most of your knit shirts, hoodies, athletic wear. You'll probably see 2 parallel lines of stitching on the top.
And on the back?
A sort of complex, loopy, almost braided look. That's the cover stitch. Its main job is finishing hems and cuffs on knits really nicely.
And it stretches well.
Incredibly well. Excellent stretch and recovery, meaning it bounces back. That's why it's perfect for hems and cuffs that get stretched constantly. It doesn't pop.
Yeah.
Sometimes used decoratively, too.
Okay, last one, the flatlock. Back to the athletic champion.
Yep. The key difference from the cover stitch is that the loopy interlaced pattern is visible on both sides of the fabric.
And that creates that completely flat seam.
Exactly. No ridge inside or out. That's why athletes love it. Eliminates bulk, maximum comfort against the skin, prevents chafing during movement. It's strong, it's flexible, and absolutely essential when that flat, comfy seam is just as important as durability.
Perfect. So, stepping back, what's the big takeaway here?
I think the main thing is realizing that durability isn't about finding one magic stitch. It's a formula. It's about matching things up correctly.
Matching the stress level, the fabric stretchiness, the thickness of the seam.
To the right stitch type, the right thread, and the right tension. When a manufacturer gets that alignment right, like choosing the 4T overlock for a t-shirt side seam instead of the cheaper 3T, or adding that chain stitch reinforcement to jeans,
That's when you get something built to actually last.
that's the signature of quality construction.
And this is practical knowledge for everyone listening. Next time you're shopping or even just looking through your closet, you can actually assess the construction.
You can look beyond the brand label or the fabric feel.
You can spot the difference between a flimsy lining stitch and a robust structural seam. You know what to look for in denim now. It gives you real insight into potential longevity.
It does. But it also brings up that interesting question we touched on about perception.
The aesthetics thing again.
Yeah. Given that something like the flatlock offers superior comfort and strength, technically, but it gets rejected for high-end fashion purely because it's visible.
What does that say about how we as consumers define quality?
Exactly. How often is our idea of quality tied up with invisibility wanting seems to just disappear rather than celebrating visible signs of strong, smart construction? Are we sometimes valuing the clean look over actual structural integrity?
That's definitely something to think about. Is hidden always better, or should we appreciate visible strength sometimes?
A little food for thought, perhaps.
Definitely. Well, thanks for diving deep into the world of stitches with us today. Hopefully everyone feels a bit more equipped to judge a garment by its seams.
Go forth and examine those stitches.